Time to go make a living. So, part of being an adult is making a living. Now, as much as so many young people these days hate capitalism and everything it stands for, really what you hate is the people who cheat. And the people that make life harder for all the rest of us. Now, I get it. I'm very much like that too. I don't like the cheaters. I don't like the people that, like to take advantage of you. Like to do things that just make your life harder for no particular reason. There is a special type of capitalist, and this just goes for life in general. It's not just that they have to win, it's they have to make sure you lose. And this is the type of person that just makes all of life difficult for everyone involved. So, yeah, I get it. But you also have to be realistic on your expectations. What exactly do you plan to get out of life? And you can't just be like, well, we're not going to be here in a few decades, so we probably shouldn't worry because the whole world's going to blow up or some stupid crap like that. Assume that it isn't. Assume that 40 years from now, you're still going to be alive and kicking, and if you wasted that time, you're going to be having a difficult go at it. So, what do? Well, as much as it sucks, you have to get a job. Or you have to become some kind of magical content creator. Or you have to do something to generate funds, to generate money, to generate income. Because you've got bills to pay, and unless you are some kind of android, you have resources to consume, like electricity and food and water. And I don't know about you, but that shelter thing looks really nice. And I like my climate-controlled home with my air conditioning and my heat. You know, it's one of the reasons why we live as long as we do these days, because food is plentiful and we have these marvelous climate-controlled homes and buildings that we inhabit that, keep the worst of the weather off of us. So what do you do to feed that machine that keeps you going? Well, you got to find something that you can do to make money that doesn't make you want to put a gun in your mouth. And I'm being literal on that. If you take a job that you hate, you're going to want to inflict harm upon yourself and others. Because you're going to be doing it 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, minimum. So, this thing that you're going to minimum spend 40 hours a week doing, how do you do it in such a way that it makes you enough resources that you can survive and possibly thrive? And also, it doesn't make you so miserable that you freak out. Well, that is up to you. I definitely recommend spending a certain amount of time trying to find something that you can stand. There's a lot of soul searching that goes into that. So, soul searching is just part of life. Some people call it navel gazing, and I've definitely done plenty of that. For myself, I always wanted to be an artist. And by the way, there's a reason why they have the term starving artist. At this point in my life, I'm in my mid-40s, and I've written a bunch of books, and I went to school to do that, by the way. I went to college, and I got an English degree, and I decided I was going to be an author, and I wrote a bunch of novels, put them out, and nobody bought them. Now, it's quite possible that someday that'll change. Being an artist is something that means that somebody could potentially start purchasing your art, and then all of a sudden you've got enough money that you can quit your day job. That is, after all, the dream of most artists. I want enough people to consume the art I have made that I can quit my day job and make the creation of my art my primary job. At which point, I will be able to create more art and better art because I have the time to do it. And I will then start getting the type of feedback from my audience that lets me know what future projects should entail. Okay, that's great. But I've been working on this for 15 years now, and still nobody buys my books. Okay, so what do I do in the meantime? Well, when 9/11 happened, I entered the Army. And there were many reasons for that decision, one of which was a splash of patriotism. Also, 9/11 was a very wild time. I was living in Chicago proper, in an area where I was one of the few white guys and was in constant danger, as my neighbors like to remind me. And I got into this situation where I've got a bunch of stories about living in Chicago. But after 9/11 happened, I found myself standing on the street corner with a bunch of street toughs that I was scared to death of. And they let me into their conversation. We were all talking about 9/11 and what was going on and what was going down and what we thought was happening. Because you got to realize, when 9/11 happened, we did not know what the next steps were. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know if more of these attacks were coming. We didn't know if an entire nation that we knew nothing about was going to attack us. We didn't know anything about the Middle East. It was just that thing that sometimes appeared on the news that was vaguely threatening, and, suddenly it attacked a city and blew up a building and killed thousands of people, and the whole nation was freaking out. And I was standing here amongst people that absolutely would have beat the hell out of me and taken my wallet a few weeks ago, and we discussed all signing up and joining the military. And a couple of them were like, well, I can't join the military, I got a record. And they were talking about that, and I was like, well, I could join the military. Now, right around that time, I was not going anywhere. My life was kind of just circling the drain. I was in that awkward, I was 22, and I was 22 years old, and I was miserable. And my job sucked, and all my prospects were terrible, and I didn't know what to do with my life. And I had no real work ethic, and I was just in a bad place. And then 9/11 happened, and suddenly I had direction. And I joined the military. And the military taught me that if I put my mind to it, I could really accomplish pretty much anything. It just required time, dedication, and the ability to suck it up when things got bad. Because things are going to get bad. Things are always going to get bad. How you deal with the bad determines whether or not you are a success. So, also, until the job I'm working right now, I never made more money than when I was in the military. Like, seriously, for all the, oh my gosh, the poor broke soldiers. No, dude, I made plenty of money in the military. Also, I was a single soldier. I didn't have a family at the time, so all that money just was mine to do with as I pleased. And I'm glad I started saving for retirement, because I did not get to start saving for retirement again until my current job. So that might tell you some things. So right now I work in security, Having been in the military, security would always hire me. And I was a guard for several years, and then I was like, well, I have a child. I'm in my 40s, and if I'm going to make these books work, I'm going to need more resources. And my daughter needs more resources. And it would be nice if I could do some more saving for that, fabled retirement on the horizon. So I need a job that gets me more money. So I looked at the company I was working for, and I said, how do I make more money? Well, I can't do it as a guard. I have to go corporate. And so that's what I've done. I hit the admin side of it. And the administration side has allowed me to make more. I finally, after bouncing around to a few departments, found one where I get along with everybody. And I make enough that I'm doing pretty good. And, you know, it's amazing what you can put up with when you're doing okay. It took a while. I'm in my 40s. And, you know, but I got there because I kept going. And you can get there too. But don't just look at how terrible it is and how much it sucks. Because if you do that, you're just going to sabotage yourself. What you need to do is figure yourself out. What types of jobs can you do? I'm in the sales department right now, and I'm doing a good job. I'm making money doing that. I've been in sales in a couple other places. They went horribly, but they gave me the skills that I needed to be able to go and do this job. It turns out, if you're moving in the wrong direction, well, even if you're going in the wrong direction, you can sometimes stumble your way into the right direction. But you have to keep moving forward. If you're not moving forward, you're just stagnating and you're just sitting there, then nothing is happening. You're not gaining skills and you're not getting better at life. If you're moving forward, even if you're moving in the wrong direction, you can eventually end up going in the right direction. So keep moving forward. Keep finding ways to move forward. Speaking of moving forward, I'm getting my coffee now.